There's it. There we go. Shalom, everyone that's listening to this recording. The name of this video will be, was the plan of Yashraal, aka Israel, Yahuwah's plan of his chosen people, was it implemented in the Garden of Eden? Or was this something that Yahuwah implemented later on after the Tower of Babel? So that will be my thesis for tonight's little study. Okay, so first, what I want to do is go basically to the beginning of the story, which would be the seed war between the seed of Messiah that came from the woman, Eve, and the seed of Satan. So this is what I'm going to do here. We're going to go to Genesis chapter 3, verse 15. So bear with me, guys, real quick. I'm going to use my my Sword app on my Android. It is free. It has some really great translations on here, especially the Septuagint thing. Greek LXX Septuagint, which, by the way, is 1,000 years older than the Old Testament that's in our Christian Bibles. And just to let y'all know, you can find on Wikipedia, will even let you know the Old Testament that's in all of our Christian Bibles actually was the authoritative Old Testament of the Jews, not Christians. So some Christians, even back in the first century, and what I would call myself Messianics, actually trusted in the Septuagint. So just a little bit of backstory on that. I'm going to be using the Septuagint for the Tanakh, aka Old Testament passages, just to mix it up a little bit, to see if there's anything different in it, anything that would bring out Yahuwah's truth a little bit more. So here we go. Genesis chapter 3, verse 15. And I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. He shall crush your head, and you shall bruise his heel. So there's two different, basically, seeds in the book of Genesis. Sorry for that little intermission, everyone. So whoever is joined in and whoever hasn't heard, the first reference I gave is Genesis chapter 3, verse 15. And I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. He shall bruise your head, or crush your head, and you shall bruise his heel. So basically this verse is saying the seed of the woman, Messiah, is going to crush the seed of the serpent, or the serpent himself. Okay? And it says the serpent is going to bruise his heel. So, okay, so this is the first prophecy in the scripture. This is actually the prophecy of Yahusha destroying Satan. And from here on, you're going to see a different theme, a theme that kind of changes Yahuwah's plan. I mean, already Yahuwah is now making a distinction that there's two seeds on the earth at this point. So already you can kind of hint that there might be something coming where the sons of Adam will have to make a choice. Who are they the seed of? So that's just something to keep in the back of your mind. Now I'm going to go next chronologically. Let's go to Genesis chapter 17, verse 4. Now this reads, and I, behold, my covenant is with you, and you shall be a father of a multitude of nations. Now, multitude of nations, meaning many nations. He shall be a father of many nations. Okay, so this is clearly saying many nations are coming from Abraham. Okay, so Yahuwah makes this covenant with Abraham. And the reason I brought this up is because this seems to allude to him being the father of the many nations, but yet all these nations are children of Abraham. So there's something there. It seems like almost like a grafting in theme, and you'll see where I'm going with that. With this next verse is Genesis chapter 48, verse 19. And he would not, but said, I know it, my son, I know it, he shall also be a people, and he shall be exalted, but his younger brother shall be greater than he, and his seed shall become a multitude of nations. And again, if you read in Galatians, I think it's chapter 3, verse 29, it says, those that trust in Messiah, Yahusha, that have faith in him and believe in him, that we are saved through his blood, that we shall be saved through his blood, I should better say, are the seed of Abraham. And now Genesis 48:19 is referring to Ephraim, saying that in his seed many nations shall come. So it seems like almost a cross-reference to Abraham, almost the same thing, that all these nations, all these different nations are going to come from one person. They're going to come from Ephraim. So again, and many people have alluded that Genesis 48:19, just to add, is the prophecy of the fullness of the nations, the Gentiles being grafted into Israel, into Yashraal. Now, let me get something very clear. I do not believe the Jewish nation, the state of Israel, is Israel, that Yahuwah refers Israel as. Israel is his chosen people, the ones for his inheritance, the ones that are his children by faith in Messiah alone. Okay, I want to make that extremely clear. It is not about race. Not all of Israel is Israel, meaning not all natural born Israelites are Israel, because they need to believe in Yahusha. He's the one that makes you Israel spiritually. So I just want to make that very clear. We can only be grafted in, whether you're a natural branch or a wild branch, both have been broken off and need to be grafted back in by Yahushua Messiah alone. So just wanted to make a little reference there. Now we're going to be going to what separates the nations and what makes Yashraal different from all the other nations. So first, we're going to go to the event that I believe is the game changer, in my personal opinion, everyone. So, are you ready? Here we go. Genesis chapter 11. I'm going to be going into the first couple of verses to get some context. So, Genesis chapter 11, verse 1. And Yahuwah said to Moses, oh, whoops, my bad. That was Exodus chapter 11, my bad. Oop. All right, so Genesis chapter 11, my sword does that sometimes. I don't know, it's really sensitive, my Android. All right, and all the earth was one lip. Genesis chapter 11, verse 1. And there was one language to all. Now, many people, including me, especially in our Messianic Hebrews faith, believe that this is referring to the pictograph Hebrew. Possibly, it might even be the Paleo-Hebrew at that point, because the pictograph was the language Yahuwah spoke to Adam. But along the line here, 10 chapters later, it's possible that we're already at the Paleo-Hebrew phase. So anyway, that's what I believe the one language of the original language was. It was definitely a very, very, very early Hebrew, either way. Whether it was pictograph or Paleo, I think that's the context of this verse. And there was one language to all, verse 2. And it came to pass as they moved from east, they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And a man said to his neighbor, come, let us make bricks and bake them with fire. And the brick was to them for stone, and asphalt they had for mortar. And they said, come, let us build to ourselves a city and a tower, whose top shall be to heaven, and let us make to ourselves a name, before we are scattered, like separated, abroad upon the face of all the earth. So they're actually saying, oh, wow, we might actually be scattered. We know the repercussions. Okay? So they actually know that there's a repercussion for what they're doing. They're trying to build a tower. So they're trying to make a name for themselves so that they'll be remembered if they get scattered. Okay. And Yahuwah came down to see the city and the tower which the sons of men built. So first they built a city, then a tower. And Yahuwah came down to see the city and the tower which the sons of men built. Now some translations will say sons of Adam, sons of Adam, because the Hebrew word Adam doesn't just refer to a name, but you can actually look in any type of like Strong's Concordance. It also refers to the word in English, mankind. So that's, so technically Eve, Adam's wife, would be included in Adam, mankind. So that's just some little educational information for you guys. Verse 5, and Yahuwah came down to see the city and the tower which the sons of men, or the sons of Adam, built. And Yahuwah said, behold, there is one people, one lip of all, and they have begun to do this, and now nothing shall fail from them of all that they have undertaken to do. Basically meaning that they can do whatever they're planning to do, won't be withheld from them. They won't be stopped from doing whatever they plan to do is possible. That's what Yahuwah is trying to say. So Yahuwah is trying to say that it is very possible that they can accomplish what they want to accomplish. So anyway, verse 7, come, and having gone down, let us there confound their tongue, confuse their language, that they may not understand each the voice of his neighbor. So obviously this is Yahuwah's plan. He's smart. He's like, all right, if they don't understand one another, they're not going to build this tower. Verse 8, and Yahuwah scattered them. Oh, before I move on, verse 7 says, let us. Now, I truly believe this is definitely plural, and this is the Father, Yahuwah, and Yahusha, the Son, talking to one another, saying, all right, we got to do something about this. I don't think they were scared that they could possibly defeat Yahuwah. I doubt that Yahuwah would be scared of a mortal man or any amount of mortal men. I think it was more of Yahuwah didn't want it coming to that he would probably have to destroy his own creation again right after the flood. So that's my conclusion on that. Verse 8, and Yahuwah scattered them over the face of all the earth, and they left off building the city and the tower. So this is the last verse I want to show. So they stopped building the tower and everything, okay? So now that we got that done with, so that was Genesis chapter 11, verses 1 to 8. So that's all about the Tower of Babel in context. You can do research for your own. Nimrod was basically the first anti-Messiah, so on and so forth. He had them built the Tower of Babel. They built his city, Babylon, first. So now the only other ones, I did forget a couple of Genesis ones there's one from Genesis I wanted to go over. And this, I believe, is prior to what I just read from the building of the Tower of Babel. Genesis chapter 9, verse 1, and Yahuwah blessed Noah and his sons and said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. So this is the part of the thesis that I believe Yahuwah Almighty blessed me with this knowledge, with this discernment, that obviously with Adam and Eve, he wanted all mankind to be from them one seed. Okay, so something changes already in Genesis 3:15 and the other Genesis verses I brought up beforehand, and Genesis 9:1, even before Abraham and before Israel prophesying over his sons. Genesis 9 is basically Yahuwah is given a second chance to mankind through Noah's lineage. And as we see from Genesis chapter 11, that didn't work out. Now I'm going to go to two more verses. I have two more verses, and that's it, guys. So thank you for being patient. I hope you guys are enjoying this study. So Deuteronomy chapter 32, verses 8 to 9. Okay, so it says, when the Most High, that's another title for the Almighty Yahuwah, divided means scattered the nations. When he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the nations according to the number of the angels of Elohim. And again, sons of Elohim are angels. Genesis 6:4 in context, angels. Job chapter 1 talks about Satan presenting himself in a heavenly council before Yahuwah, reporting to Yahuwah with the sons of Elohim. So they are angels. So the sons of Elohim would be in the Masoretic text in this verse in Deuteronomy 32:8. The Septuagint doesn't even leave room for interpretation. Literally says that all the nations were basically given under rule or bounded to the number of the angels of Elohim. So basically, each angel had their own nation. Each angel or son of Elohim had their own nation that they ruled over. So let us continue verse 9. And his people, Jacob, became the portion of Yahuwah. Yashraal, Israel, was the line of his inheritance. So again, Yahuwah's people, he has one people, Israel, Yashraal, and they were his portion, his inheritance. All right, so we're now going to move on. So already there's a separating with seeds there, okay? There's a huge separation there. There's many nations that are under the rule of angels, one nation that Yahuwah has his inheritance in. So now I'm going to Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 19. Unless having looked up to the sky and having seen the sun and the moon and the stars and all the heavenly bodies, you should go astray and worship them and serve them, which Yahuwah your God has distributed to all the nations under heaven. Basically meaning, do not do these things. Do not look up to the sky. Do not look up to the host of heaven, which is the angels, the stars. Do not look up at the sun and the moon and fall down and worship them, even though Yahuwah has given them to the other nations to do that too. But basically he's saying, you're set apart to me. You're my people. You are not to do those things. Okay, so verse 20. But Yahuwah took you. So basically we believers in Yahushua Messiah belong to Yahuwah, and led you forth out of the land of Egypt, out of the iron furnace, out of Egypt, to be to him a people of inheritance as at this day. So verse 19 is saying that the principalities have ownership over all the other nations, but Yahuwah, we are his portion, his inheritance. So I just wanted to bring up those last two verses. I hope this sheds some light on this topic for everyone. I'm sorry I was kind of running through these verses because I was trying to make it a quick video. If you guys have any questions, you can reach me at Doug Anthony Bonensegna at gmail.com. That's my email. But you can also find me on Facebook at Doug Anthony Bonensegna. So we also have a fellowship group called Awakened by Yahuwah on Facebook. So if you would love to join our fellowship group, let me know. If not, I hope this message by Yahushua Messiah blessed you. Have a great Sabbath, guys. Shalom.